ॐ विश्वं दर्पणदृश्यमाननगरी तुल्यनिजान्तर्गतं पश्यन्नात्मनि मायया बहिरिवोद्भूतं यथा निद्रया यस्साक्षात् कुरुते प्रबोधसमये स्वात्मानमेवाद्वयं तस्मै श्रीगुरुमूर्तये नमः इदं श्रीदक्षिणामूर्तये बीजस्यान्तरिवाङ्कुरो जगदिदं प्राङ्निर्विकल्पं पुनः मायाकल्पितदेशकालकलना वैचित्रचित्रीकृतं मायावीव विजृम्भयत्यपि महायोगी वयस्वेच्छया तस्मै श्रीगुरुमूर्तये नमः इदं श्रीदक्षिणामूर्तये तस्मै श्रीगुरुमूर्तये नमः इदं श्रीदक्षिणामूर्तये। ॐ सहना भवतु सहनौ भुनक्तु सह वीर्यङ्करवावहै तेजस्विनावधीतमस्तु मा विद्विषावहै। ॐ शान्तिः शान्तिः शान्तिः। सदाशिवसमारम्भां शङ्कराचार्यमध्यमाम् अस्मदाचार्यपर्यन्तां वन्दे गुरुपरम्पराम्। ॐ So the source book for the self-knowledge, the self which one wants to know, which is the goal of life. The self happens to be the secure. Security is a goal of life. Self happens to be the nature of fullness. Fullness, happiness is the goal of life. Self happens to be silence by nature, peace by nature. Peace is the goal of life. There is no fourth goal in human life. All so-called goals in human life are meant for these three. Either it is money, either it is relationship, either it is power, position, either wealth in terms of stock holdings, either varieties of the objects one is seeking, either certain aesthetic pleasures, either there are some pleasures at intellectual level. Ultimately, one wants to be a happy person. One wants to be a secure person. One wants to be at peace with oneself. That's it. So Vedanta says what you want to be in your life is exactly what you are. Yeah, it's an amazing thing. It's an amazing thing. And very common sense. That a thing which is insecure by itself cannot make you secure. The entire world which is time-bound, which comes and goes, is called insecure, impermanent. That cannot give security. And that's exactly one's experience is. The world which is limited by nature cannot bring fullness in your life. That's how whatever amount of things you acquire in one's life, you basically, hoard in your life. Thousands of things we hoard. But ultimately we remain the same person. As wanting as we were before, hoarding. Therefore, there is the desire to be happy and secure, etc., or to gain a peace is a genuine desire. One is born with. It is not a cultivated desire. Cultivated desire, then you should tell Swami, forget about it. Yeah, if I ask Elon Musk, you take me to that SpaceX mission to moon or something. He said, better you do your job. Yeah, it's a cultivated desire on my part. You may request me to drop it. But if you are born with the desire to be a happy person, to be secure self, or to gain peace, right? Then there must be a solution. Natural desire should have a solution. Otherwise, it will be a defect in the creation. Hunger is there, desire for food, well, it's there. Thirst is there, well, solution is there. Natural desire should have a solution. So you are created with the desire, but there is no solution. Then it's definitely we should blame the creator. But it's not like that. So definitely this desire is genuine. Maybe the direction to gain that may be wrong. May be wrong. That's what Vedanta says. Anyway, this is the self. So one should know oneself. Not knowing oneself, you are seeking that self in the non-self in the world. So this is self-knowledge. What you want to be, or what any human being wants to be in one's life through varieties of the pursuits is exactly what you are. And these kind of things are there. The thing may be with me, but still I search, right? This is common. I keep searching, right? Well, and you say, Swami, what are you searching? Oh, I am searching my spectacles. And then everyone laughs. Yeah. What you have, you keep searching. Then the cause is only ignorance. That's where knowledge enters, because that's the only thing which removes ignorance. There is self-ignorance, self-knowledge is a solution. That is the subject matter of the Vedanta. Source book of self-knowledge is Upanishads, which is the end portion of the Veda. End portion of Veda is this Vedanta. And there are certain, that's a source book. There are certain books written later, like Bhagavad Gita, written later by Vyasacharya ji. Bhagavan taught, but it is again based on Upanishads only. And therefore, that's another source book we can take, the Smriti. Veda, this Upanishad is a Shruti. This we will call it as a Smriti, which is exactly in the middle of the Mahabharata, Madhya Mahabharatam. And there are certain statements in the Upanishad which appear contradictory. They are not contradictory. They need certain explanation. Certain logic may be required to understand certain things. And therefore, one more book is written, which we also include in the source book, and that is Brahma Sutras. Sutras are aphorisms, very cryptic statement, exactly like our equations in mathematics. Definitely needs to be expounded, needs to be explained, of course, and Adi Shankaracharya ji has explained, but Vyasacharya ji has written Brahma Sutras, aphorisms, whose subject matter is Brahman. And the first sutra, mentions the word Brahman. Later, all other 554 sutras don't mention word Brahman, but they all have a subject matter Brahman. Like Yoga Sutra, Patanjali's Yoga Sutra, the word Yoga appears in the first sutra. Yogastu Chittavritti Nirodha. That's there. Later, all the sutras, you won't find word yoga, but they all talk about yoga. Right? It's exactly like this. But why such a cryptic statement? because you can remember easily. Equations we used to remember easily. The explanation of the equations we may not remember totally, but the equation we may remember. So that is how this is Brahma Sutra is another source book. We take it, even though it's written by Vaisacharyaji. And then the Upanishad, the main source book, not written by somebody. Anyway, so these two, Bhagavad Gita and Upanishads, Brahma Sutra also we include in that source book. So this is called Prasthanatrayam. We all take them as a three, as a source book. And then there are, certain other texts which are called prakranas, treaties. But frankly, they are the guidebooks, I would say. Guidebooks which guides for the source book. Yeah, which guides. And in these prakranas, there are two main types of prakranas written, of course, by varieties, great acharyas, including Adi Shankaracharya. Adi Shankaracharya and Sureshwaracharya, his disciple, and then other acharyas also in the Sampradaya who are very great. They have written. Vidyaranya Swami also wrote many. And Sadanandji, etc., etc. Many acharyas have written these treatises called prakranas, and they are of two types. One of the prakrana, basically works as a guidebook. And guidebook will have to basically serve as a stepping stone for a spiritual seeker to enter into the source book. And such prakarana, first is a prakarana which well defines or prescribes the whole structure of Vedanta, and also enlisting the topics systematically. I will give you the example of a Tattva Bodha. You must have heard of it and you must have studied also. Now take the source book Upanishad and take the Tattva Bodha. In Upanishad, you don't find any system. Frankly speaking, there is no systematic thing. Well, what is the introduction? Any Upanishad will have an introductory portion. What is the introductory portion? Who is the qualified person to study Upanishad? Not mentioned. What is the subject matter? Not mentioned. If you study Upanishad, what will be the benefit? Not mentioned. Nothing is mentioned. And okay, you said somebody is qualified. What are the qualifications to study? That also should be told. Well, he should have a certain discriminative capacity regarding the pursuits of life. And then once he discovers that this really freedom is the goal of life, knowing oneself is a goal of life, then all other pursuits will be dropped. That's called dispassion, etc. And then there is one definitely needs a resolution of the mind. One should definitely have a more of a voluntary thinking rather than involuntary thinking, because mind is an instrument. Then there you should have a certain sensory discipline also. Have you seen anything like this? If somebody has studied Upanishad, have you seen these kind of things? Nothing. Kene shitam padati preshitam manaha. Ishavasam idam sarvam yatkinchit jagatyam jagat tena tyaktena bhunjitaha magrada kasya svidhanam. Everything is Ishvara. It begins like that. What is that impelling factor? What is the impelling factor because of which the mind falls into its own spheres? This is how it begins. You should give certain introduction. You should talk about the qualification of the person. Well, then I can understand that then I should study or not. If I'm not qualified, it's not going to give me benefit. And exactly I should know what is the benefit. Nothing is mentioned. All this has to be mentioned by other text. So one of the Prakarana Grantha, one type of Prakarana Granthas which gives a very systematic and enlisting of the topics, structure of the Vedanta. In fact, you know exactly what Vedanta is, not from the Upanishad, believe me. You know exactly what Vedanta is by studying Tattva Bodha. That is how it is. Even though that cannot give you self-knowledge, Tattvabodha as such. But source book will give you knowledge, but that works as a guidebook. It guides you. Properly you can then study. So, this is how one type of Prakarana Grantha is like this, in which all definitions would be there. So, this Tattvabodha, even our Vedanta Sara also is like this. Vedanta Sara book definitely has this. In fact, very beautiful. Compared to even Tattvabodha, Vedanta Sara has much more advantages. But Vedanta Sara one can appreciate definitely after studying Tattvabodha. And Vivek Chudamani, there are many like that. And the second type of Prakarana Grantha is basically, they help you to understand a particular portion of the Vedanta in detail. Like, what is the nature of Jiva has been mentioned in the Upanishad. But that is more elaborated in that Prakarana Grantha. What is the nature of Ishvara has been mentioned in Upanishad, but maybe more elaborated in some Prakarana Grantha. Or even the identity between these two, the Jiva and the individual and Ishvara, has been said in Upanishad, but more, along with sometime bringing up certain Purvapakshas also. So, keeping certain opponents against the Vedanta in view, certain acharyas write textbooks to clarify our own doubts. Some of them are called Siddhi Granthas. One of very well-known Siddhi Grantha, which we generally study, not other Siddhi Granthas, but one that we study is a Naishkarmya Siddhi by Sureshwaracharya, very, very wonderful text. So these are these two types of Prakarana Granthas are there. One definitely presents this systematic enlisting of the topics, definitions, slowly developing the topics, etc. And the second type of Prakarana Grantha in which the subject matter, portion of the subject matter of the Upanishad is elaborated. More question answers, the more questions, more will be raised, more doubts will be raised from different philosophers, and they have been answered. So, there are two types of Prakarana Granthas, are there. Aparokshanubhuti also is a Prakarana Grantha here. It has 144 verses, Aparokshanubhuti, written by Adi Shankaracharya ji. And actually we began, not even last year, maybe 2 years ago. So in every camp we used to take few verses. So that is how it is going on. But definitely you may be feeling, we are on verse 68 now. So, Swamiji, but what about 67 verses? We have not studied. So I would like to give you a gist of 67 verses. And then we will enter into verse 68. And that may take a little time. Perhaps we will enter into verse 68 tomorrow. Maybe in the last class. Because those verses talk about one thing. That thing I want to make clear in your mind. That's it. Then all those verses have an example, different examples, talking about the same thing. And so those verses, 68 to 75, may be taking 15 minutes to complete. But what is there as a subject matter in 68 to 75 I need a time to develop. And so it may, because you may feel, class after class goes and you feel that he is not touching the book. So I am telling you this. But that is the core of the Vedanta that we will be discussing. Anyway, but let me first talk about the text begins with first 11 verses. Text begins with a prayer, generally that is there in all the textbooks. Acharya always, whoever writes, will have an invocatory verse. Prayer will be there, naturally, in order to complete the work, and the work which he has done with lot of efforts and pain should reach to the right people and they should gain knowledge, etc. So there will be always a prayer verse in the beginning. And then other 10 verses, in which Acharya talks about the qualifications for this knowledge, wonderfully, which I told you is lacking in the source book. So here you will find. So Vivek, Vairagya, Shamaha, Damaha. And then also, Shamaha means I told you resolution of mind. Mind should be a friendly mind. That's it. Friendly mind. When you need, well, it comes to your help. That mind has a Shamaha. There is nothing called mind control. We'll discuss that. Anyway, a friendly mind. Then Damaha, sensory discipline, very important. That is even discussed in the Sthita Prajna section to a great extent. What an amount of sensory, if sensory discipline is not there, what will happen to this human being? And if that is there, what one can achieve? That is very beautifully discussed in the second chapter of Bhagavad Gita in that Sthita Prajna section between 58 to 68, etc. Beautifully. If just sensory discipline is not there, the person basically is almost destroyed. You remain as a human being, one doesn't die, but one is destroyed as a human being. That much. So anyway, you know, dhyayato vishayan pumsa sangasteshu pajayate, etc., etc. So Damaha, Shamaha both are so important in one's life if one is a spiritual seeker. Shamaha, a mental discipline, and Damaha, the sensory discipline, both are very, very important. Anyway, of course, knowledge will give moksha, but the knowledge will give the benefit provided these two things are there. That kind. So you need to be a adhikari for qualified person for this. So Shamaha, Damaha, then Uparamaha. Uparamaha, Swadharma, Anushtanam, etc. means one should do one's own duty, what I am supposed to do. Doing something, what I am supposed to do, will definitely make your mind spontaneous. Doing something, what I am not supposed to do, brings conflict. Because in your mind, it's all the time, it is going on. I am supposed to do. I am supposed to do. I am supposed to do laundry. I am supposed to write mails. I am supposed to call my parents. I am supposed to do. I am supposed to do. And you don't do. Creates conflicts. That mind is not qualified. So Uparamaha. Then Shamadama Uparamaha Titiksha. You should have immunity. Immunity, not physical immunity. Emotional immunity. Why emotional immunity? Because definitely you cannot change the environment. You have to develop immunity. You cannot have a sterile environment even if you are in the United States. Right? Anywhere you are, there will be some bugs which will definitely bother you. Yeah. You cannot, therefore, you should develop emotional immunity. There will be, somebody will praise you, somebody will criticize you, somebody insults, somebody respects. You cannot have control over the people. Yeah. And sometimes you win in the situation, sometimes you are defeated. All kinds of pairs of opposite is a part of life. And then definitely if they keep on attacking you and you basically, you become sick, that's not correct. So either you have to change the environment, either you have to develop immunity. You cannot change the environment, therefore develop immunity. Emotional immunity. Person is very fragile emotionally, even though intellectually may be a well-accomplished person. Emotionally fragile. So that emotional immunity is required, called titiksha, forbearance, etc. Yeah. Titiksha. Then Shraddha. Naturally, Shraddha, validity in this means of knowledge. So, basically, you take what Shastra says is valid. You have to understand how it is valid, etc. But you basically have no doubt about the validity of the knowledge, Shastras, teaching, teacher, Ishvara, everywhere Shraddha. And then one can gain knowledge. Shraddhavan labhate jnanam. Bhagavan also said very clearly, Shraddhavan labhate jnanam. If you don't have a Shraddha, you are not going to achieve this goal. You will not gain the knowledge, in fact. Shraddha and Samadhanam. Samadhanam means focus. In my life, well, I have a short-term focus and long-term focus. Because I am working, I have family, certain short-term focus, short-term goals. But while fulfilling short-term goals, well, I always keep in mind what is a long-term focus. Moksha, etc., is a life, goal of life, etc. That's called samadhana. And mumukshutvam. You should have you should basically you have a desire to gain this freedom, moksha, etc. And that is also very intense desire. Tivra. Mumukshutvam means moksha me bhuyaditi tivra ichha. The desire, tivra ichha, intense desire of what? Moksha me bhuyat, let me gain this freedom. Let me know oneself and become free forever. Like that. I want to live as a free bird. So much gain as freedom. I am a free. Nothing affects in this creation. Amazing thing. Time doesn't affect me, therefore old age does not belong to me, etc., etc. All this, everything. Death, well, does not belong to me, etc. That is what Bhagavan addressed to Arjuna. Right? That's what Bhagavan said. So, what is that? The 12th verse. Anyway, if I remember, I will let you know. So, in that Bhagavan said very beautifully, well, you are not existent, that was not the case. I was not existent before, that was not the case. All of these people were not there, that is not the case. You will not be there in the future, that will not be the case. I will not be there in the future, will not be the case. All of these people are, you think that they are going to die, will not be there in the future. No, they also will be there in the future. So they will become non-existent, that will not be the case. Means there is something which survives the death of the body. That's what Bhagavan then talked in between 12 to 25th verse in 2nd chapter. That is Atma, etc. is not subject to death, not subject to time, etc. Anyway, so this sadhana chatushta, etc., the qualifications have been told in this first 10 verses here. First verse, a prayer verse, and then next 10 verses. And to acquire, now the next question will be, how to acquire this qualification? Well, very beautifully, two disciplines have been told by Acharya. First is Swadharma Anushtanam. As I said, while doing exactly what I am supposed to do in a given situation. I should give a best response in a situation. So best response means definitely it would be in benefit of others also. So one's own dharma prescribed by the scriptures, etc., or not prescribed by scripture, even then also based on our own common sense ethics, will definitely lead you, can guide you. Yesterday only we were discussing in the evening, accommodating others and speaking truth to others, be honest to others, not cheating others. Well, that is common sense, because exactly that's what I want from others. So, well, that is called dharma. So, this is Swadharma Anushtanam, will help you to gain this sadhana chatushta. And second thing is, of course, paritoshanam. That's a word used. Paritoshanam is worshipping the Lord. Definitely you need a grace of Ishvara in gaining all this. And therefore, these two sadhanam also have been told in that first 11 verses. You can consider that, including prayer verse. Then second topic, between 12 to 16 in this book. And there, teacher talks about the self-inquiry in nutshell. Means what type of studies involved in Vedanta he points out in these few verses, 12 to 16. He says, three topics are discussed in Vedanta. First is a jiva, the individual. Second is what he transacts with the Jagat, world. And third is Ishvara, the cause of the creation. So these three things have been discussed in the Vedanta Shastra. And so nature of all the three, the individual, the world, and Ishvara, and interrelation of all the three, so is a subject matter of the Vedanta that he mentions in this verse number 12 to 16. And Vedanta also establishes that the ignorance of the nature of all the three, is the cause of all the problems. You don't know the nature of the reality of the world, you don't know the nature of yourself, And then now you don't know the nature of Ishvara also. Well, that is the cause of all problems. And knowing all these factors, well, clearly is a means of moksha. Self-knowledge is a means of moksha. And so, this jiva, the individual, is none other than Brahman. Jivo Brahmaiva na paraha. And well, Brahma Satyam Jagat Mithya, Jagat also is Mithya, etc. What is this Mithya? Forget about it right now. Keep it aside. But we'll discuss that. So, that, that is how. Means all the reality of all the three, the individual, world, and the Ishvara is one alone. That is what Vedanta is. A non-dual. One whole. Well, Brahman alone is the reality of all the three. And therefore, a so-called Jiva Jagat, etc. is a Mithya. So, this is second topic, 12 to 16. I have covered 16 verses, okay? This is nutshell. And then 17 to 40 is an analysis of now individual. It begins with individual. I have told you, analysis of three will be there, and we will come down to this Brahman alone, that's a reality. But here it begins with definitely analysis of individual, and in which it is shown that individual is consists of two parts. One is the self, the Atma, and other is also a non-self, the body, etc. That's called Anatma. And the problem here is a confusion regarding this subject, the self, and the object, non-self, Anatma, that is body, etc. The confusion. Means confusion means what? You take one for the other. That's what the confusion is. And also interchange the attributes of both of them. Means what are the attributes of the self? You take them as the attributes of the non-self. And attributes of the non-self you superimpose upon you, the self. And well, that's how this individual basically is in a confused state, is having an error of subject-object, etc., Atma-Anatma, etc. And so naturally the solution is a viveka, discriminating cognitively. One should know what is Atma, what is Anatma. And then in this verses itself, what is Anatma now they have to say. So then Anatma has been divided into three. Various prakriyas are there, but here Anatma is divided into three. And that is gross body, first. Second is a subtle body. Third is a causal body. And Atma, the self, the subject, is really distinct from all these three. So, how do you say they are distinct? Atma is distinct from all the three. Well, then that has been mentioned also. That the Swarupa of the self and the Swarupa of the nature of the self and the nature of non-self, they are quite distinct. What are the distinctions? I am telling you now. The first distinction between the self and non-self, Atma and Atma is consciousness. And the Anatma, the body, mind, the senses, thoughts, hunger, thirst, pranas, etc., organs of action, all is inert by nature, matter by nature, material by nature, made up of elements by nature, made up of 5 elements. So that's the first distinction. Atma is consciousness, and this the 3 bodies, Anatma, is matter. Second is Atma is ever experiencer, which will not be experienced. And it's a witness, you can say. And Anatma is basically which is experienced. Atma is ever experiencer. Anatma is something which is ever experienced. One Atma is called Sakshi. Anatma is called Saksham. That's how they say. So Atma is basically never experienced. An experiencer can never be experienced, need not be experienced, in fact. Because experiencer, you say, I want to experience the experiencer, then definitely you have to bring another experiencer. Without experiencer, there will not be no experience is possible. If you want to experience the very experiencer, you have to bring another experiencer. Now you will ask me, now then how will I experience that second experiencer? Then I said we have to bring a third experiencer. That means what? This will go on till evening, till we have not arrived at the experiencer. Experiencer need not be experienced, because if experience is happening, it automatically proves experiencer. Right? So experiencer's particular experience, we want a particular experience, right? The way I am experiencing this, you want to say, well, then I will experience the very self. That will not be the case. That will not be the case, because that experience, the Atma has to become an object then of experience. That's never be possible. What is never available for objectification is the subject. But that automatically, if objects of experience are there and experiences are happening, automatically proves the experiencer. So experiencer experience, we call particular experience, is not possible. One has to know that experiencer is the consciousness, limitless consciousness, etc. You need not have to experience that. This is the orientation in Vedantic students all the time. That we know we are Brahman, but I want to experience Brahman. It's like saying, you see all the photographs and yet you are asking me that why this camera is not occurring in this photograph. If camera is there all the time, well, then, like people come in the photographs, camera also should come in photographs. People are there, so then they come in photos. And therefore, camera was also there, therefore I want camera also in the photo. You need not. The existence of the photos automatically prove the presence of what? Existence of camera. That's how it is. So, but Swamiji, now we have a selfie. That's okay, but I'm just saying, you will bring something to me, but I'm just saying, in general, the existence of photos will definitely prove the existence of camera. You need not have to prove specially that existence of camera, etc. So, well, right now you are seeing me. Well, the experiencer is there, the seer is there. You will not have a doubt for existence of seer. You will have a doubt about what you see. That could be possible. You will never have a doubt whether I am there or not. The seer is there or not. That doubt never comes. If anybody gets a doubt, you will have a doubt about his, mental status. I'm sure. So this is how. A seer can never be seen. What? But seer automatically is proven. Existence of seer is proven if seeing is happening. Right? So this is how this Atma is ever, that's how I say, ever experience. And this Anatma is ever experienced. If you experience something, if you know something, if something is evident to you, I'm going to talk about it later. If something is evident to you, automatically it is not you. Anything which is evident to you is not you. That's what my line of discussion will be. And that we will come to know ultimately the nature of self later. So this is second difference. First is Atma is consciousness, Anatma is inert. Second is Atma is ever experiencer, you can say Sakshi, witness. And Anatma, etc., world, etc., will be, is witnessed, experienced, etc. Then Atma is free from all attributes. Anatma is with all attributes, any attribute, starting from form and color and whatever, smell and anything, all. It has a certain touch, etc., all. Atma is free from all attributes. How can you say Atma is free from attributes? If Atma has a certain attributes, then how will you know Atma has a certain attributes? How will you know Atma has attributes? It should become an object of knowledge. It should become at least object of your experience. Then only you can say Atma has certain attributes, certain shape, certain color, certain smell, certain type of an touch, etc. But Atma is something which never becomes an object. Therefore, Atma must be free from attributes. And Anatma is basically with attributes. Atma is free from attributes, Anatma is. We are doing what? The subject-object confusion. Atma and Atma confusion. One is taken for the other. Well, we are now separating. We should know Anatma is having this kind of nature, Atma is having this kind of nature. So that's the thing. Then Atma is free from all modifications, starting from birth, and then young age, and then, middle age, and then old, etc. And even death also. It's all modification. Atma is free from all modifications. We call it as a bhava vikaras, modifications in terms of this. Jayate, asti, vardhate, viparinamate, vipakshiyate, in Sanskritam. But it means is this. Whereas Anatma is basically undergoes modification, starting from birth to the death. A certain object comes into existence and will go away also. In between all the things you can take it. Like a body also. Especially we are doing the subject-object error is for body, mind, senses, etc. and the self. That is where the confusion is. We will be discussing. You may be thinking Swamiji is going fast, but no. This will be coming with a little elaboration, but I am just giving you in nutshell the difference between these two. Atma is, not subject to division. Atma is not having parts. Anything which has parts definitely undergoes division. Atma does not having any parts, and therefore it is not subject to division. Atma is whole, partless whole. Yeah. Anything which has a parts will fall apart. That's there. Yeah. Anything which has a parts will fall apart. One or the other, this is having parts. If it falls, it will fall apart. Death. So therefore Atma will be subject to death then, if it falls apart. In fact, the parts which when come together, that's called the birth, manifestation. And when it falls apart, we call death. Where Atma is free from both. Najayate briyate va kadachit. Bhagavan said, Najayate briyate va kadachit. Never. Na kadachit means never. Najayate is not born. Namriyate. Well, then definitely it doesn't have a parts. Atma is free from parts of the whole. That's how Purnamada, Purnamidam, Aham Purnaha, Idam Purnaha, etc. etc. So, Atma is not subject to division, Atma does not have parts, Anatma is having all parts. Any object, can fall apart, starting from sun and nebulas and whatnot. They say continuously they explode, falls apart. So, and therefore, how then Shankaracharya scolds, this person in one of the verse. How can you take this observer, this witness, as very observed? How can you take that? You are taking that's wonder, he says. Body, of course, mind, senses, thoughts, memory, knowledge, ignorance, hunger, thirst, all basically are objects of your knowledge. Everything. And how you take ourselves as a body? It's an object of your knowledge. And therefore, so Atma Anatma confusion is there. You are just a consciousness or conscious being, let us say. And this is all inert, object of your knowledge. You should not take them as yourself. When you say I am body, means I means Atma. Atma is body. That's a big confusion. Subject-object error. So you should learn that these are the divisions between Atma and Anatma, etc. Means I am not this gross body, I am not this subtle body, means I am not the mind, I am not the sense organs, I am not the pranas, I am not the organs of action, I am not the memory, I am not this, emotions, etc. All. Emotions, you can talk about it very well. People talk about their emotions at a length, perhaps even in pages, 200, 300 pages, single emotion they take of themselves and they keep on talking. Or at least go to psychiatrists and talk about your emotions at a length, 1 hour, 2 hours, 3 hours. You talk about your emotions, the nuances of your emotions, everything you talk about it. If they are not objects of your knowledge, how can you talk about it? When you describe something, means you have some knowledge. Your description about your body, your mind, your senses, in fact, that is what the biography is. Biography and autobiography. 1,000 pages. Starts with this. When I was born in 1923, my God, then you keep talking and talking in books or to Swamis. When it comes to Bhiksha, 9 times I have heard, I was born in this village in 1923, and then this happened, and this happened, and this happened. Once it is over, next time, again the same story. Third time, same story. Unless the body, etc., is not an object of knowledge, you cannot utter a single word. Right? What you describe is your object of your knowledge. And therefore, definitely, this is not you. You are just consciousness, etc. We'll see that later in detail. But this is what between 17 to 40. I have come closer now. Right? Verse 68. In fact, then and in this also, between 17 to 40, Shankaracharya ji concentrates more on Sthula Sharira Atma Viveka. So, attributes of the Sthula Sharira, he keeps talking and talking, and then lastly he shows it is distinct from Atma, etc. Well, that's in major portion. For Sukshma Sharira Atma Viveka, there is only one verse in this between 17 to 40. And he doesn't mention at all about Karana Sharira at all. He doesn't mention. Anyway. Then the fourth topic is between verse 41 to 89. And that is the most important thing, without which Vedanta is not Vedanta but Devanta. Yeah. You have to, once you say two, it's Dvaitam, duality. Anatma, Atma, when you say, well, it's duality. Therefore, one of them has to be swallowed by the other in order to prove non-duality. When there are two, there is where the conflict is. There is one, there is no conflict. Yeah. Dattatraya's, one of the guru was that woman. Very poor woman was his guru. Yeah. He went to that lady, the house of that lady, and asked for bhiksha. And they were very poor. She was not having anything other than some paddy. So, well, but a sadhu has come and so bhiksha is to be given. And so, what she did, if she came to know that if Dattatreya, the sadhu will come to know that I don't have anything, he will go away. I will incur papam. So he said, please have a seat. I will just prepare the food. She went inside, took that paddy and started pounding. If pounding of the paddy itself indicates there is nothing in the home, right? Otherwise everything should be there. And so she has that all bangles. So before pounding, she removed all, not all. One was left, right? One is left. Other than one, all were removed. Now no noise. In order to get rid of the noise, not all should be removed. One is enough. Yeah, on both the sides. And she pounded. And Dattatreya came to know. Smart. He came to know. Wow. Yeah. Dvaitathi bhayam bhavati. All collision is when there are two. If there is one, which is non-dual, there is no others, there is no second thing, then there is no conflict, no collision, no fear. Dvaitathi bhayam bhavati. Very big statement in the Shastra. All the fear comes when there is second thing. The fear is the duality is a source of fear. Etc. So anyway, so still there are two. Between 17 to 40 we discussed, this is Anatma, this is Atma. Is there two? No. One is to be swallowed by the other. And what are the two things? Consciousness and matter in general. Consciousness and matter principle, material principle, etc. Well, so, and now here two opinions. One is say opinion of the science, other is opinion of the Vedantin. According to science, well, matter is the reality. Matter is the reality. In fact, consciousness emerges from the matter. As life emerges from the matter. Evanescent phenomena. One Time magazine, once upon a time, I read it. They say this consciousness, meaning bracket life, is a evanescent phenomena. It has just come. Very new phenomena. Matter was there before. Cosmic soup was there and there was big explosion and this and that. No consciousness anywhere. And then slowly life manifested. And well, after some years, billions of years or whatever, millions of years, or maybe thousands of years, we don't know. Again, the whole earth is going to be swallowed by the sun, right? Again, well, this life is going to be extinct. So, life or consciousness emerges and goes away. Matter was there before, matter is there right now, and matter will be there later also. So, consciousness emerges from the matter. Matter is the non-dual principle. Matter alone is, was, and will be. And that's how even scientists, neuroscientists, and all they are saying, well, this consciousness is a phenomena occurring in the brain, etc. Upanishad says just reverse. Matter evolves from consciousness. There was consciousness. Sadeva Somedapagra asit ekameva dvitiyam. Consciousness was there. Consciousness is there. Consciousness will be there. Matter is just a mithya manifestation. We'll see that of consciousness. Consciousness is reality. That is exactly the Parmeshvara is. Consciousness is a cause in that way. Vivarta karanam, etc. Anyway. So this is, and there are other philosophers who also say the same thing, Sankhya philosopher, etc. They say there are two principles, matter principle and consciousness principle, Purusha and Prakriti, etc. Both are real, etc. Anyway, so we say this Atma, the consciousness is Satyam, Anatma is Mithya. What is this Mithya? We'll understand. And therefore, the only reality is this Atma. And therefore, Atma is non-dual. One without the second. Anatma, etc. is what you experience, is having a certain reality, but it is not existing. What exists is consciousness. We'll have to see that. So this is Anatma Mithyatvam is the topic between verse number 41 to 89. We are in 68, so we'll be in this topic. We'll have to discuss at a length how everything is ultimately self, how everything is consciousness. Even though I'm experiencing matter everywhere, which is anatma, but then why do you still say Atma alone is the reality and what you experience is mithya, etc.? That we'll have to understand. So, let us start few things in this. And as I said in the beginning, well, Upanishad says that the self, the subject, well, is not the separate from the self which you want to be or which you want to know. Is not that separate. Is not separate, means it is exactly what you are. So, let us talk about this subject now. Like you are seeing me, hearing me, etc. That's a reality. The seer, the seen, and the sight. When you are seeing me right now, there are three things. Kindly pay attention to this. This is a very serious topic. So there is a seer, there is a object of your sight that is seen, and there is a sight which connects the seer and the sight. Right? Seer and the seen. It is connected. Now that's invariable. Whether what you see could be other than what the thing is, may be possible. Like you see a one person in place of another, could be possible. or you see certain attributes in a given thing which are not there at all. That also we are doing. Sometimes you see certain attributes in a person which really the person doesn't have. All this is there. So what there is a variability. But ultimately the seer, seen and sight, that will be invariable. Could you follow? Seer, sight and the seen is invariable. Anyway, so the seer is the subject and the seen is the object. And the subject in this now also, let us analyze further, the subject is not variable in this. Even though as such this alignment of seer, seen and the sight, is invariable, that is there. In between this object that is seen and the subject is invariable. What you see varies. Right now you are seeing me. After 5 minutes you are seeing this. After 5 minutes you are seeing, now why after 5 minutes? Every moment you see different. So the objects which you see vary. The subject, the seer does not vary in a given setup. Anyway, so this is the reality. So objects are variable. The subject I is not variable. And these two, the subject and object, the seer and seen is one reality. That is the subject matter of Vedanta. The seen and the seer. Right now we feel, based on our perception, that the seen is different and the seer is different. Or you are the seer, I am seen. That is different, based on perception. Vedanta says the seen and seer are one thing alone. If they prove it, then there is no duality. Could you follow? There is no duality. That is what we have to see. So it's very astounding that, because we have always known that the subject, the knower, is all different from the known. That is well entrenched notion in us. So there are many objects, many subjects, duality is the reality, etc., etc. So how can you see the knower and known are one? Amazing. Knower and known are just one thing alone. How will you say? We have to wait up to 4:30. Om Purnamadav Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnamevavashishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Harihi Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Harihi Om. If you have questions, etc., you can write it down. We may have a certain, here, the paper is there. You can write it down and keep it here. In the evening, satsang will take it. But our next class is at 4:30. Yeah.